So we begin with that breaking news. An Ethiopian Airlines jet with 157 people on board has crashed. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 took off from the capital Addis Ababa bound for Nairobi in Kenya. It came down near the town of Bishoftu in eastern Ethiopia. Ethiopia's Prime Minister has tweeted his condolences for the 149 passengers and 8 crew on board. In a message to families, he wrote, "The Office of the Prime Minister, on behalf of the government and people of Ethiopia, would like to express its deepest condolences to the families of those that have lost their loved ones on Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 on regular scheduled flight to Nairobi, Kenya this morning." Let's get more from Al Jazeera's Catherine Soy, who's on the line now from Nairobi. We understand, Catherine, that this aircraft took off from Addis at 8:38 a.m. local time. What else do we know? Catherine, can you hear me? Al Jazeera's Catherine Soy should be on the line. She isn't. I think we can talk to Alex Macharas, who's an aviation analyst who is joining us now via Skype from Malaga in Spain. Alex, good to have you with us. ETAVJ, this aircraft, it was a Boeing 737 MAX 8. Am I right in thinking that that's the same kind of aircraft that crashed back in October, the Lion Air crash in Indonesia?
Good afternoon. Yes, sadly, this is now looking to be the second most major, most fatal incident for Boeing 737 MAX. So the 737 MAX is the brand new updated version of the Boeing 737. The MAX itself is in service all around the world. Airlines include Norwegian, Air Italy, Ethiopian, who are a member of Star Alliance. And airlines such as Ethiopian Airlines are using this aircraft as it's the latest, the most fuel-efficient, short-range Boeing aircraft on the market. This aircraft that has been involved in the accident today is less than 4 months old. It was delivered to Ethiopian in mid-November. It flew from the US. It made a fuel stop in Ireland and was delivered to Addis Ababa, which is the airport that is Ethiopian Airlines' hub. And they really do use this airport as a hub to channel passengers through it and then to distribute them elsewhere on their route network.
The 737 MAX, Alex, was Boeing's answer to Airbus's, A320, or the new version, more fuel-efficient of the version of the A320. After the Lion Air crash, in Indonesia, the Airline Pilots Association of the US told US safety regulators that the union was concerned about a potential significant aviation system safety deficiency in the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. What's wrong with it?
I think we should be careful there because ultimately new aircraft do have their hiccups. Now, that's not to say that they are unsafe or that they are more prone to being involved in an accident, but there are certain advisories for lots of new aircraft, and that's perfectly normal as they enter the marketplace. To pick up on what you said, the Boeing 737 MAX was kind of initiated in response to Airbus's A320neo, so that's the new engine option. Both of these aircraft, including the 737 MAX, these are typical traditional Boeing 737 designs with modifications to make the aircraft more fuel efficient. So it's a new aircraft based upon one of Boeing's best sellers, the 737, which is in service all around the world. And if you have ever flown short haul, then I guarantee you've probably flown on a 737. It's a popular choice of the airlines. It's a very safe aircraft. But of course, there are now questions, and this will send jitters across the industry, as this is a brand new aircraft that has now been its most second fatal accident in the space of less than 5 months. The first one, of course, was the Lion Air 7 that was just in October, late October.
I suppose one of the things that makes this aircraft so attractive for airlines is that if they've already got a 737s in their fleet, this brand new version of it, even though it has new systems in it, doesn't require the pilots to undergo expensive training courses in order to be able to fly it. In theory, they could just relatively simply go from one version, the older version of the 737, to this new version.
Absolutely, and this is what Boeing specialized with the 737 MAX. Commonality is key, and so there are no real significant changes when flight crew are converting from the existing 737 to flying the 737 MAX. There is a very short course involved, and for this reason, it's very economical for the airlines. But again, this is very normal. Airbus do exactly the same. They all want to focus on commonality. Ultimately, it helps that bottom line financially. But to bring things back to Ethiopian Airlines, they have taken an array of new aircraft. And what's important for their airline, and for this airline specifically, is that they need aircraft that they know can be proven to work very reliably from Addis Ababa Airport, which is ultimately, on the scale of things, very hot and very high in altitude. So when I met with the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines in China in September, he was explaining to me that not all aircraft available on the marketplace was an option to Ethiopian, because not all of them could demonstrate their reliability from an airport such as Addis Ababa, which ultimately in altitude is significantly higher than wherever landing from across the world. So for this reason, this airport is quite specific in its needs and requirements from airlines
and
from manufacturers.
Very briefly, Alex, Lion Air had the Indonesian airline that had this brand new Boeing 737 MAX that crashed back in October, had let's say, a questionable reputation as far as maintenance and safety was concerned. That doesn't apply to Ethiopia, does it? Because, I mean, they have, as you say, this brand new fleet, and they look after those aircraft very well.
Ethiopian Airlines are an extremely safe airline. There should be no doubt airline or even in the aircraft at this point until we find out further information. But Ethiopian Airlines, in terms of Africa, are one of the best airlines on the continent.
Alex, many thanks indeed. Alex Macheras there, our aviation analyst. Let's hear now from Al Jazeera's Catherine Soy, who is on the line from Nairobi. Catherine, we were talking just a few minutes ago about that, that statement made by Ethiopia's Prime Minister. Tell us more.
Yes, we started by seeing this tweet by the Prime Minister's office, the Ethiopia Prime Minister's office, offering condolences to relatives of passengers who are on board that flight. And then the airline itself has issued a statement saying that search and rescue operations are going on. They haven't given a number of any casualties yet. They say it's too soon for that. And they have given details of what happened. And this flight took off at around 8:38 a.m. local time from Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, and they lost contact at around 8:44. That's 6 minutes after. That's when the aircraft dropped from the radar at around the southeastern town of Bishoftu. 149 passengers, as you mentioned, and 8 crew on board. The airline saying that a passenger information center is being set up, and a distress line as well, where relatives who are trying to find out what has happened to their loved ones are supposed to get in touch with that line just to find out what's going on and to be updated about what's going on in this search and rescue operation.
All right, Catherine, many thanks indeed. Catherine Soy reporting live there from Nairobi. Just to recap then, Ethiopian Airlines flight number ET302 with 157 people on board, that's 8 crew and 149 passengers, has crashed shortly after taking off from Addis Ababa bound for Nairobi in Kenya. The aircraft registration number ETAVG was a Boeing 737 MAX 8 delivered in November last year. It is the same aircraft, the same type of aircraft that crashed in October, the Lion Air 737 MAX 8 crash off Indonesia in October last year. More details on that breaking news as and when we get it here on Al Jazeera.